Today I am covering your AppFiles Basics, which is awesome. It's a very straightforward class. I'm going to go over the process of creating an app file. I'm going to go over working with a buyer, how to add documents, how to split, how to merge, how to move pages. I'm going through all the little intricate pieces. Now, if you get hung up on a certain part of this class, do not be afraid to turn on your mic and say, hey, Drew, I have a quick question. That's what this is all about. This month is to make everyone feel comfortable going into AppFiles and using it for what it's meant for, your file management and getting your documentation to your staff, okay? Now, I will say that at the end of this class, there is a part where I am going to say it's different for every office, and it's the submission of your documents in AppFiles, okay? Every office does it a little different, so I recommend checking with your staff and making sure that you've done it the way they would like. Once you do it once and you have it right, you have it and you'll continue to do it correctly. Okay, everybody is good on that? One thing I want to cover before I go too far in, if you have not been to this channel, and I know some of y'all are new to this, I have a YouTube channel where I put every video, all my past trainings, all my segmented videos are all on this channel. It's called H&R Space Trainer. So when you go to youtube.com at the top search line, type in H&R Space Trainer and hit enter, and you will find my channel is the very first one. It's got 166 subscribers. I recommend subscribe to it. Every time a new video goes into this YouTube channel, you will see it on your YouTube. It basically just puts the newest one up on your screen. So after this class is over, I will be adding this. Throughout this week, I will be doing short segmented videos on AppFiles, how to import values, how to merge and split documents. I will be covering all of these in very short 2-minute increment videos just to remind you of the different features of AppFiles. I know it's beneficial, so I'm going to help wherever I can. If you run into any problems, you want to call me, you can call me. My email address is drew.burr, like it's cold. I'm here to help. So let's get started. All right, so starting off with AppFiles. The one thing I'm going to cover, since this isn't the very beginning of AppFiles, most of y'all have already set up your accounts. And if you haven't, I recommend checking to make sure your account's set up. I do have a video for setting up your account in my YouTube channel. Make sure you've gone into your settings. Make sure your display name is correct. Make sure you have a headshot in place. Make sure your email address is where it needs to be, that you're spoofing your email address. Just make sure, these are just things that you're going to check on to make sure you're right. When you first started with AppFiles, this is something you would have done. Make sure your email footer has been set into place. Okay. And lastly, make sure you have your default set for full desktop view rather than mobile. Most of y'all have already done this, so don't get too worried. If you have any questions about this later, you can reach out to me. It's just one of those things I just want to checkpoint. Okay, just make sure you've got your setup here. Okay, and all I did is I went to settings and app file. Okay, the next thing that I always cover is your form values. So the most important part of AppFiles is that you can do things in advance. Okay, like for your import of values. Over here, let me make my screen bigger for y'all. There's an option called form values. When you click on this, you'll have the different forms, both in-house and just in general, your documentation that you would normally use available. Okay, my recommendation to you is to fill in where you can go ahead and fill in your purchase and sale, your buyer brokerage agreement. So I'd scroll down, I'll show you an example. Here's my buyer brokerage, F110. Okay, so I'm under form values. These are documents that you're going to be pulling into your AppFiles. If you can do some pre-filling in, this is where you should do it. Like for instance, 6 of 10, I'm going to scroll down. Under the broker's affiliated licensee contact information, you can go ahead and fill in your information as an agent. Your broker address, your office information, you go ahead and fill this in so you don't have to fill it in every time you do a transaction with a buyer. Okay, so you've worked with these documents before, you know what they are, the purchase and sale, all of these items that are in here, just go ahead and pre-fill in your information. You have your purchase and sale. Whatever documentation you can go ahead and fill in, do it. And I'll show you why it's important. Do I have any questions about your form values? It's a one-time deal. If you want to make yourself a nice glass of wine and knock these out and pre-fill in your information, it's a great night's worth of work, and it's very beneficial. Just one glass of wine though, just one.
What do you do to get it to save the information? Is there something that you have to click?
Great question. Great question. When the form values, all you do is close it. The only time when you have to click to save, there's going to be a green button. But for form values, for instance, I'll bring back up the buyer brokerage real quick. Once you put your information in, you can just hit close and it takes it, because it's an open-ended document. You can continue to update it as you go as well. That's a great question. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, the only times when you're probably going to have to hit a save is, for instance, when you're filling in special steps. There's an actual save green button to click on.
I'm completely lost. Where do I even get?
Do I have a quick question?
Where do I go to set up my account?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
Where do I go to set up my account?
Where do I go to
Set up my account.
set up your account?
Yeah.
Do you have your login already done, completed?
Don't think so.
So your login information should come from your office manager. So make sure you have your login information from your manager. And to set up your account, up here at the top left, there's a settings button.
Where do I go to get that from? Do I go to my Harry Norman office?
Oh, to actually get to this point?
Yeah.
Yes, through My Our Office, under the hamburger option right here,
Yeah, where I go to AppFiles?
you'll notice there's an AppFile option, which usually pops up something like this.
Yeah.
And then you click here to continue to log in. Okay?
I know how to log into. That takes me to AppFiles. So I go to AppFiles and then that comes up.
It should take you to this window right here.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And then you just need to make sure you have your login and credentials from your office staff.
Drew, quick question.
Absolutely.
So I'm brand new to the whole thing here, so I'm learning from square one. But I've been going directly to the appfiles.com website. Is that okay to do, or should I be going through Harry Norman and then linking to the AppFiles?
That's perfectly fine. The reason why people use the My Our Office, because it goes ahead, it pre-fills in your email address and password.
Okay.
That's the main reason, because the My Our Office was made to do your first step to log in, like for FMLS, CRM, MIA. It just goes ahead and puts your username and password in.
Okay.
But they're both fine, both fine.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. If you have a shortcut set up on your desktop, I totally understand. Seriously, whatever makes it easier for you.
Okay.
When I'm using my docs, they fill in all my information on all my contracts, all my everything. So this is not going to do that. I have to do it free.
Yes, exactly. You're going to have to do it yourself, pre-fill in information. You're correct.
That's a pain.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're okay. Sorry, it's just your mic. I'm trying to make sure I can hear you.
Yeah. So
All right.
I had some hours with bottom line, whereas before I didn't have to do that.
Got it.
Now I'm an assistant, so I have to do that for me and for the agent that I'm working with.
That's right. That's correct. Yes, you and your agent that you're working with needs to pre-fill in their settings. Go ahead and get their settings in. But I do have
to set this up for her and for me.
Well, or they would have to do it for themselves in their settings. Yes, they would have to log into their account and set them up.
Then I can do that. So I'm going to have to do that. That's 2 bottles of wine. Okay.
Okay. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and dive into the app file just to keep moving because we've got a lot to cover today. All right. So once again, make sure your settings are in there. go to your form values, fill in what form values you can in advance, just to make life easier, because you're going to be pulling those values in, and I'll show you where that's at. And now the next step is, let's start an app file. Okay? To start an app file, over here on the left, there's a green text that says create new app file. All right. So the first thing you have to do when you start a new app file is you're going to have to declare who the person is that's tied to this app file and what they are. So in this scenario, I'm going to be using my wife as an example, which I'm, well, no, you know what? I'm just going to use my aunt. I've used so many different names. I need to start mixing it up a little bit. And then next, I'm going to say the file type is a buyer. Okay. So I filled in the file name, which is your contact, because you don't know what they're interested in yet. You just know that they're your contact first, okay? That's the reason why I'm using a name. Now you can change naming conventions, and I'll show you where the naming convention changes are. But right now I'm gonna start off the fact that I have a buyer and her name is Tori, okay? So Tori Horton is a buyer. As you scroll down, you'll notice that you can fill in information in advance. Once again, it's very important to remember, the more you can pre-fill in, the better. So what you already know, go ahead and get it in. I already know that the agent that is working here is myself. I am going to be the agent. I am representing my buyer. Fill in as much as you already know. Okay? Everybody understands that? Cool. All right. So whatever you know in advance, go ahead and pre-fill in the information. This is for the folder. I just opened a new app file for a buyer. Okay, I'm going to click next to continue with the process of creating the app file, which is a folder for my contact. Everything that I need in this transaction will go into this folder. Okay, at this step, if you are working with a team member, you need to add them to this app file as a user. Okay, to do that, you'll notice there's names on the left side here that are from your office. If you have a team member that you're working with, you're going to hit the plus, this green plus sign over here, and it's going to add them as a user. Okay, this is so that they can see the communications of the app files. Also, they can be added to the emails that are going out, like signature requests and stuff like that. They're just a part of this app file. Okay. If you do not, if you're a single individual agent, you're not planning to add anybody, you don't have to worry about that, and you can just create your app file. But if you have a team member, a spouse, a partner, if you have someone that you want to add on that they're just going to be holding open houses for you and you want to make sure they're a part of the communication in somewhere, this is where you would add them. Okay? Perfect. So I don't have a team member. You'll notice that over here, there's office staff. So they will always have the ability to get to your app file if you make it known to them. They don't just see things as you're working on it. So there's nothing wrong with trying and using app files, because they won't actually see your app file until you turn it in, until you actually turn in your document. So
What's the difference between user without access and user with access?
I can't hear you. I'm so sorry.
What's the difference between user without access and user with access? Users without access and users who will have access. What's the difference?
Users who required, is that
Will
what?
have access and users without access. What's the difference?
Well, users who don't have access can't actually see in your app file at all. If they do have access, then they can see the communications that are going on with your app file. They can be included when you send off just for signatures. They can see when there's updates, when there's change of status. That's the difference, but you have to let somebody have access to it.
There's an awful lot of, there's so many different kinds. There's available users, required users. I'm
No,
not sure. I
Just the
understand.
required, no, it's okay. Available users are people from your office that you can add on, like if they're a part of your team, like if they're a part of your team. The required users are staff members from corporate or staff within your office. I can answer more of this afterward. You know, I can call you afterwards, Sarah. I don't mind. I know you well enough that I can call you.
Okay, you can call
Okay,
me. This is
we'll work it out. We'll work it out.
way too obtuse for me. Anyway,
Well,
okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and create the app file for Tori. And you'll notice now the app file has gone live. And so here's the file access people that we were talking about. These are staff members. So this is just a blank app file. Okay, I went through this process. I named it Tori Horton. She's a buyer. I have nobody that I've added as a user. The app file has gone live. Okay. Like I said, no one can see this unless you have a user on here or you turned it into staff members. Okay. So the very first thing I'm going to cover is adding documentation to this app file, because there are forms that you need to have turned in or filled in, signed, turned in. And the first thing I'm going to cover is at the very top left here is adding forms. When you click on the adding forms option at the top left, you'll notice on the left side, there are forms available for you to grab. The first one I'm going to grab is the buyer brokerage agreement that I want to add to my app files. Okay, so on this line, this search line right here, you can start typing in buyer, and you'll notice that the buyer brokerage is available. Same with the purchase and sales, same with your GAR forms, same with your financing options. They're all over here in this document, and you're just adding them to your app file. Okay, so I'm going to click on the buyer brokerage. Just by clicking on it, you'll notice it's added right here to general paperwork. So it's ready to be added to my app file. Okay. So I'm going to add one selected form to my document, to my app file. And here it is. Buyer brokerage agreement. It's now over here on the left under general paperwork. All right. So now that I have this document in here, and I have filled in whatever needs to be filled in for a buyer brokerage agreement, it has been filled in. The next thing that you can do is you can request a signature for your buyer brokerage agreement. And I'm just showing you the features of how this works, okay? So in the center, you'll notice there's a blue button that says request signature. Okay, this is filled in, it's ready to roll. I want to send it for a requested signature. I'm going to click on this blue button, and you'll notice it tells you it's a need to get your document signed electronically. It's asking you yes, you want to start the process of getting a signature request. You click on the green button. Okay, so the difference between this and RDocs is you have to do it in processes. So if you have two people that need signatures, you have to send it twice. That's the difference. So this very first part, I'm going to put in Tori Horton. Make sure the name is exactly what they are. If they're a junior, if they're a second, whatever it is, make sure that you have the correct full name of the person who's signing. Next, I'm going to select buyer signature 1 because I'm requesting the first person's signature on this buyer brokerage. Okay, so if it's John Horton next, it would be buyer signature 2, and it's going to have John Horton on it. Second process. I'm going to click next. If you need to put a timestamp on this, a brokerage engagement date, time. In this scenario, since it's a buyer brokerage agreement, I don't feel like I need to timestamp it. Hopefully you have a strong enough relationship with your buyer that you don't have to force them to sign at a certain time or date. But this is something that you can timestamp the signature for the buyer brokerage or not. I'm going to click next to move forward, and this is what your signature request would look like. Okay, who it's coming from is going to be your email address. The 2 will be the person. This will be Tori Horton, who it's going to, but I'm going to put in my email address as an example. You'll scroll down, you'll see, please review the document at the link below and let me know if you have any questions. You can change this information to read any way you'd like. Just stay away from this link because that's the actual signature link. So if you want to put a comment before the link saying, hey, you know, loved working with you, showing you all these beautiful homes. You know, I look forward to moving forward with our, you know, with our interaction. Please sign this document. You know, whatever you need to do to put the right wording in, this is where you would do it for a request a signature. You'll scroll down, you'll notice your signature that was set up in settings is here. And you can click next. If you need to add one of your users to this signature so they know that the signature went out, this is where you would do it. They would be down here at the bottom and they would be able to see the active use sending a signature through AppFiles.
So Drew,
Yes?
in case of, say, husband and wife buying the property together,
That's
so
right.
I would do this for one person and then go back and do it again for the next person?
Well, watch this. So I'm going to hit the request signature real quick. Active signature request 1 has been made. If you have a second person, you would just start the signature request a second time. That's the difference between it and RDoc. So yes, you have it right. That's exactly what you would do.
Okay.
Okay, so see, here's where you see your active, you see the signature 03 initials if there were any. If they say they haven't received it, you can resend their request and you can also cancel it. Okay. Now, over here on your primary window of your app files, you can also see where your signature requests are as well. So if you're wondering, you know, has Tori or John signed their signature request, you can come down here and you can actually check your signature request and the status they're in. And once again, if they said they haven't received it, you can resend it as well.
Can you amend it
Can you amend it?
if you got the email address wrong?
Say it again, sorry.
If you got the email address wrong, can you amend it?
Well, you could cancel it and then resend it with the right email address. Yeah, to make sure that it's rightly sent to the right person, yes.
And then Drew, would you have to send it to yourself a third time as the agent? So it takes 3 requests, buyer 1, buyer 2, and the agent to sign it?
I don't think so. Your signature should be on the document to begin with.
Okay.
All right, so let me get back to this document. So that is your signature request for a buyer brokerage agreement, okay? I'll show you at the end how to submit it to your staff members after it has been signed. All right, so the next thing I'm going to cover is adding another form. We need our purchase and sale added along with the financing that is planned to be had. So I'm going to click on the add forms on the left side. And this time I'm going to be selecting a purchase and sale. Okay, and they're going to be using a conventional. Oops. There it is, conventional loan contingency. Now, when you put 2 documents together on the right side next to each other like this, it automatically puts them together as one. Okay, if you want them to be separated from the very beginning, add one form, close the window and add another form. Okay, it'll separate them as 2 different actions. Okay, but I'm okay with these 2 being together because I can show you how to separate them afterwards. So in this process, I'm adding forms, but they're going to be together this time. It's a purchase and sale and a conventional loan contingency together. And I'm going to hit the add selected forms. And you'll see on the left side again. So now on the far left side of my window over here, general paperwork, you have your exclusive buyer brokerage agreement and your purchase and sale agreement over here as general paperwork. Everybody feel pretty comfortable with grabbing the forms that are within AppFiles?
Yes. Does it auto-populate when you pull them in from the first form?
So if you filled in information in the very beginning of your form values for the document, yes, it will already have those values that you filled in for form values. Now, what I'm going to be covering is how to import values next. How do you pull in information from somewhere else? Okay, make sure I've got everything. One thing before I go into importing values, I do want to go over something that is fairly new, and it's the special steps and how they've made changes. When you go to, let's see, 6 of 10 and you scroll down to your special step section, this is actually pretty new. When you click on this box for special steps, not only can you type in your special steps, but new as they've added is show. Up here, there's a blue button that says show, and it provides you with the steps. So all you have to do is select them and add them to your documentation, which is, from teaching this for the past 8 months, is amazing. You know how many times I've had to tell people to copy and paste special steps down? This is wonderful. It's provided to you. You can search by keywords on this line. You can add them in whatever order you'd like as well. If you scroll down here, you can insert at beginning, insert at end. You can copy to a clipboard. It's a nice feature for them to go ahead and provide you with the steps. It's huge. So nice feature for adding steps. And in this scenario, you do have to click Save Changes. It's one of the only few times where you have to click Save Changes after you've added this information. Okay. So once again, all I did is I went to the page 6 of 10. I scrolled down to my special steps section here, which is your open box. I clicked on it. Okay, so you can type in whatever you want here, or you can click show, which gives you examples of your special steps that you can click and add them to your special steps.
Oh.
Is that new, Al? So that's a nice feature. I love it. I'm going to close it out. So that's adding special steps to your documentation. Do you have a question?
If you want to add more than one already populated special stipulation, how would I do that?
More than one. So when you click on this option in general, if you click show, you can click several.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can click one, add insert beginning, click two, add insert at the end. You just keep adding them by the insert option here.
Okay.
Test it out. You'll see once you add like one in, you'll get how they kind of drop in. It's great.
Okay.
And also, if you've already pre-filled some of your special steps in your form values, some people do that. Some already have, what termite bonds already on there, stuff that they know they're going to normally use. That's an option too, to go ahead and have those in there and just add them afterwards. So anything to make things easier for you, do it, of course. It's all about comfort level with AppFiles. Once you do it a couple of times, you've got it. All right, so my next thing to cover here, let me go back to, okay, is I'm going to be doing my favorite thing, which is importing values. I love importing values. All right, so to import values, I'm on my purchase and sale agreement right here. There's a yellow button right here that says import values. Okay, there's 3 different ways of importing values. I'm covering 2 today, just so you know. My class next week, I cover the 3rd one because it's a little bit more extensive, but you'll understand if you attend that class. It's great. So as we did earlier, in our values, our form values, we pre-filled in for information, okay? We pre-filled some information. Say we want to grab some of that information from a document to import into this purchase and sale. Something to think about so you can make your life a little bit easier. I'm going to click on import from a form. Okay. This is the first option of the 3, import from a form. You'll notice that I have filled in 11 values on my buyer brokerage agreement. These are values that are recognized on the buyer brokerage, but also in the purchase and sale. They're labeled as the same item. Okay. I want to do less. I don't want to have to type in everything. So this is going to pull in these values. I'm going to choose this buyer brokerage, and it tells you what form values are going to be brought into this purchase and sale. Less work for you, right? That's the reason why going ahead and getting these values done are so valuable, because you'll see all of them and you'll say, yes, I want to grab all these values so I don't have to fill them in again. So from here, I'm going to click Start Import. And when you click done, these items right here with these categories, selling, brokerage firm, agent name, will be filled in on the purchase and sale agreement. Click done. Okay. Let me see if I can find an example because I didn't fill in that much on that buyer brokerage. There's my brokerage right there. So there'll be there, and of course, the more you fill in, the more information comes into this document. Okay, so that's one.
So Drew, these are the values that I would have filled in my form values, and that's getting auto-populated here.
That's correct. You've got it. Yep.
You don't have to do it on every.
Sarah, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
You only have to do it on one form. You don't have to do it on every form.
Every form that you bring over here into this AppFiles, yes, you'll have to import the value for them
But you only have to do it once.
per document. So for the purchase and sale, you have to do it, and then the buyer brokerage, you would have to import values. But it's 3 button clicks, really. That's all it takes. So you're not typing it in.
You only have to type it in once.
Yes, yes. Okay, you've got it. Yes, you have to type it in once in the form values. Yes, yes.
Gotcha.
So the next thing that we want to cover is importing from the listing itself. Okay, I don't want to fill in the address and the city and all this information, but the easiest thing you can do is you can actually take it from FMLS and bring in those values so you don't have to do it. And so in this scenario, I'm going to click on the import values, and I'm going to choose import from FMLS. Okay. First thing it asks me, it's saying, what is the MLS number? I have an example I'm using for 2795 Peachtree Road. I'm going to type it in. It's 6732788. If you'd like to try it later on to see how this information populates in, please do. A quick second. 6732788. When you click on search, you'll notice the listing populates right here. It recognizes the listing from FMLS. Okay. I want to choose this listing because I want the values that are on FMLS to come into my app file for purchase and sale. I'm going to click choose, and you'll notice these are all the different values that it recognizes from FMLS to pull into your document. So you don't have to type it in. Okay.
Wow.
Makes life easy. I won't lie. It's nice. Any chance you can do some pre-fills, take advantage of them. They're all here.
So I have a question.
Of course.
So you're doing that, and then I see all those blue boxes on the side. Is that one you can unclick on one of them if one of those things you do not want in there to?
Got it.
Is that
Yeah.
it? Okay.
If there's a discrepancy or if there's something that you're questioning or challenging, yes, you can deselect that item from this import.
Okay. And then one more. And this, you brought over 2 because you did the purchase and sale and the conventional. So when you were importing that, does that go on to the conventional one too? Like if you needed like the stuff you did on the first one, like some of your name stuff or whatever, would that go into that document also?
Yes, because it's a combined document.
Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Correct.
Greg, I'm sorry, Drew, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm relisting a rental. I rented it last year and it is expiring, and I'm filling out new paperwork for a new renter when we get one. And this is for the owner. And can I use the old MLS number to fill in these documents and then delete that MLS number?
Because you're trying to
New listing?
because you're trying to grab the values, correct?
Yes.
Yes, you can. Yes.
So then I can delete the FMLS number
Because
and
the
find a new one when I get it.
yeah, because the information is going to be the same anyway.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything that's going to be legally challenged. So yeah, you'd be fine with importing those values. Yes.
Beautiful.
I'm going to click I acknowledge and agree the terms from the listing information above, and I'm going to hit start import. It basically checkpointing, making sure you're good with the 24 values coming in, and you click done. So you'll notice as you scroll down, the information for the 2795 Peachtree Road has been filled in throughout the document. So it's make life easier on yourself. Get the document information in. Do I have any quick questions about importing values? Now, the second one that I'm not covering is import from info fields, and that's more tied towards, I'll show you, the information over here on the right side using a master buyer template. I can get caught up in the weeds on that and it would take too long to get through this class, but it is something to consider checking out, clicking on the master buyer template and seeing what information you can pre-fill in. Once again, it's going to be grabbing values from this side and pulling it into the document. So I would recommend giving it a shot, but check out my class next week. I'll be going over really creative ways of using the master buyer template to shortcut everything. So something to consider. Okay, so the next part I'm going to be covering, now that I have used forms that are currently in AppFiles, the buyer brokerage, the purchase and sale, I need to get documentation in here from the actual listing itself, okay? And there's a few ways of doing this. So I'm going to go to Matrix, okay? Here's the listing itself, 2795 Peachtree Road, okay? I need the documentation from this. So I'm going to come over here below the image where it says documents, and I'm going to click on this. Now, this is my RDocs, which will be changing to the new name, but the same situation is going to apply. We're grabbing documentations from FMLS because we want to incorporate into our app files. Okay. So in this scenario, I need to get these documents to my app files. Okay, one quick way of doing this is you can just download the item to your desktop and upload it. And I'm going to do one of those really quick. I'm going to click on the box next to the legal description. I'm going to hit this drop down right here and click print this time. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing this document and I'm downloading it so that I can upload. Okay. So over here on the top right, you'll notice there's a download option, there's a print option, there's a download option. I want to download it because I want to have this available for me to get onto this, into this app file. So I'm going to click download, which prompts a window. And I want to make it easy to get to, so I'm going to save it to my desktop. And I'm going to name it description. I'm going to spell that. Description, and I'm going to save it to my desktop. So now I have a document that I've downloaded and saved it to my desktop to go grab. Okay. I'm going to close this out and I'm going to go back to Tori Horton's app file. Okay. And you'll notice there's an upload file option. I'm going to click on upload file option and I'm going to browse and grab that PDF for the legal description I just put on my desktop. So I'm going to hit browse. Go to my desktop and you'll see, where's the document? There it is right there. Description. And I'm going to hit open and you'll notice the document's going to show up right here. So if you've scanned stuff to yourself, they've come in as PDFs. If someone sends you floor plans in an email and you have it saved on your desktop, if you have any documentation that is a PDF or any of the ones that they like, I can't remember, I think they like Word documents, they like JPEGs, PNGs, and GIFs, so the images as well. You can upload them into your app files. And all you have to do is you come over to the left side where it says upload file, find that document, select it like I just did, and start the upload. It's going to confirm it at the top, file uploaded, and say, okay. And you'll notice now I have an uploaded paperwork over here on the left side. Your goal in AppFile is to get everything that you need for your transaction into this folder for AppFiles. That's what's so important. Any questions about this? I downloaded a PDF. I uploaded it into my AppFiles. Okay.
Where does it say upload file again?
Sorry?
Where does it say upload file?
Upload files over here on the left side right here.
Oh.
So you have your add files, which are the add forms, which is the documents that are in app files, and you have upload files right here, which is anything that you have saved on your computer. Okay. The really cool thing about this system, and probably my favorite part of AppFiles, is this right here. I hope everyone can see it. Every app file has an email address. You know why? Because you're going to have a way of sending directly into your app file through an email. Okay? I'm going to make it a little bit easier on myself as well so that I can remember this. There's a button right here next to this email address called Edit. I'm going to click Edit. And instead of it being 9469 at BNH AppFiles, I'm just going to change it to Tori_Horton. I'm going to name this app file after my contact. And I'm going to save the change. Okay? The reason why I'm doing this is it's better to remember, easy to access. And I know a lot of agents, what they do is they save this email address for the app file in their phone under the contact. So it's easier for them to get documents in knowing where it is and referencing it. So the reason why I'm doing this, I'm going to hit this copy button right here. I'm copying this email address. And this time under RDocs, I'm going to send the documents directly into my app file through an email. Okay, one fell swoop. So I'm going to click on the COVID, the condo exhibit, the lead base, all of these items. And this time, instead of print option, I'm going straight to email. And my goal is I'm going to email these documents straight into my app files. I'm going to click email. Now you'll see here are all the documents that are in this listing on FMLS. On this enter recipient, I am going to paste in that email address, the Tori Horton. Okay. Now, one major recommendation is this system doesn't, FMLS only wants an email address. So clean up, remove the bracket behind it and remove the bracket and Tori's name in front of it so that it's only an email address. That's very, very important. Okay. It only wants an email address. You don't have to name this email. You just have to have a place where it's going to go. So now that I have this named and I have an email address with the documents in it, I'm going to click send. And these documents are going to be going to AppFiles. I'm going to come over here to Tori Horton. I'm going to hit refresh. I don't know how quick it will hop in. Let's see. Give it a little bit more time because it is a few documents. There you go. So now I have my emailed paperwork in my app files here on the left side. And all I did was I pasted in the email for this app file into the RDocs to bring in my documentation. Now, other ways that people use this, if they're interacting with the client or with the other side and they send you floor plans or any kind of documentation, someone sends it to you, you can immediately forward it into your app files. Okay, so you would just put that email address in and forward it straight to your app files. Cut out that in between downloading and all that. You're just going to forward it straight in and it will end up in your documentation. Makes life easier. All right, do I have any questions about this?
One real quick question. Does it auto-populate where the initials or dates or signatures are needed on the imported documents that you pulled in?
It does not, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do that because it's still reading it as just documentation. So that's actually it's the next thing on my list to cover. That's perfect. So
Drew, I have a question.
Of course.
This is Winky. Where is your legal description that you copied?
It's right here under uploaded documents, uploaded paperwork. So what I did for the legal description, I downloaded the PDF to my desktop and uploaded it. I could have done the exact same action I just did, one fell swoop of emailing all the documents, but I wanted to show the way to upload it as well.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And in that process, I'm actually going to open the legal description real quick, and I'm going to show you how to add those elements that Jonathan's asking about. Do you have a quick question, Sarah?
Yeah, if I've got 50 buyers and sellers in my FMLS doc files or whatever they're called, Is there any way to import them into this, into AppFiles?
Like past documentation?
No, I've got them in. I've already got them in FMLS.
You have them in FMLS, and you're just trying to get your past clients into AppFiles, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's an import option for that. I don't want
In
to
other words,
give you the wrong answer for that, but that might be a really good question for Leslie to answer, and I'll follow up afterwards because I'm actually curious too whether you can bring in past transaction information or clients. So
yeah.
let me check with Leslie afterwards, and I'll send it over to you.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you for asking. That's a good question. That's a really great question. All right. So right now I've opened up my legal description and say that I want to show, I'm showing how to add elements. Let me make sure Jonathan's back. There he is. Okay. I want to add elements to this document. For instance, an initial, a signature, adding a text line so that I can add that it's exhibit 1 or exhibit A, exhibit B. So now that I've opened the description, I'm going to click on this edit button right here on the right side. And it's going to ask me to convert the document. See, this is why it's not already pre-filled, because it doesn't know what it truly is just yet. I'm going to start this conversion so that I can work with it. And you'll see what it will do. It's going to add the elements option to the left side to add your items. Let me back up just a little bit. Oh, these virtual classes are hard to work with on my computer. All right. So now I have my document, okay? You can click next, get to the next item, but I'm gonna work off this primary page. On your left side, you have general elements that can be added to this document. For instance, a text line. When you click on text, you get a cursor, okay? That's all it is. I'm gonna click down and it tells you what it's adding. It's adding an element, okay? So if you're saying this is exhibit A, you can change the font to be larger, you can align it left or center or right, and you can bold it and create. So now I have a text line that's been placed. So that's an element you can add over, same with the paragraph, same with the checkbox, you can add those elements. You can also move them and delete them. So if I click on this once, I can move it, okay? Or I can change the properties, make it larger, bold, like what we saw originally, or you can delete the element altogether. Pretty straightforward. Click once, move it around. I clicked off, I don't have it selected. Text box. Okay, next thing you can add, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I'm going to add an initial option on here. Okay, right here where it says add initials, you're going to have to declare what the role is. Okay, so say it's buyer initials. If you need to display a date or display a time, you would click this option and it would add it below it, but you know, that's never here nor there. I don't hear that very often, but I'm going to click on the place initials option. Once again, I get a cursor where I can place it down here at the bottom. Let me scroll a little bit, and I can drop the option for an initial to be added. Let me zoom in. I know it's a little small there. Okay, you have your buyer's initial box. Another option is adding a signature line. Right here under add signature, once again, you have to declare what the selected role is. So say I'm just going to put buyer again. I'm going to click on the buyer option signature, and I'm going to, you can display date and time or just place the signature. Put my cursor down here, click down, and now I have a buyer signature line to be added. Pretty smooth, pretty simple to, you know, drop in items. There's other options here. You can strike through items, multiple lines. You can circle, add graphics. So that's what the element option of AppFiles looks like. Let me pan back a little bit more.
Drew,
Yes, sir.
question.
Of course.
Some of the forms that we import or bring in from FMLS has like signature lines or initial lines for 2 people
Okay.
already showing. Can we delete some of those by doing what you just did?
Some you can. When you do the conversion, they become elements as well. As long as it's an element and you can select it, you can delete it.
Okay.
Yeah, just make sure the element becomes live so you just select it, okay?
Gotcha.
The really cool, this system really does recognize elements.
Very good. Thank you.
No problem. And if it doesn't, scratch through it. You do have a scratch through option. So you do have some if it doesn't become an element. All right, so that's your element part of this app file. Do I have any questions about using elements, how to drop them in?
Where'd you get it? To begin with. Where did you get it? And where did you go?
Okay. I'm gonna click close. I think I can't hear if I hear anybody. All right, so now you can tell that I have my signature, my initial line is available. Okay. Back up a little bit. You have your exhibit A here. So of course, when you're organizing your documents, remember this, that you need to put in what exhibit is in the order that it's supposed to be in. I know y'all know how to, sometimes I forget, I'm like, you know how to be an agent, I understand that, but something to go back and put in to make sure you have it right. Also, naming conventions. Up here at the top of every item that you upload, paperwork-wise, there's a pencil next to the name, okay? If your staff members like them to be named a certain way, make sure you click on the pencil box and make sure the naming convention is correct, okay? If it's exhibit A, or excuse me, A, you know, legal description. If that's how you would like for your naming convention to be, that's what this top line is. Every document, every compressed file can be named, okay? Can be named that way. All you have to do is click on the checkbox right here and it updates the name of the document, okay? Be organized, have a system, it's very important. Okay. I'll go ahead and click out close. So now I have my documents over here, knowing that I can rename them. The next part that I'd like to cover, let me make sure I've got everything covered here, is actually a question I got earlier. Perfect. All right. What I'm covering now is how to merge, split, and reorganize your document. Okay? Very fun stuff here. All right. Up here on the top left, there is merge paperwork. When you click on this page, all of your documents and forms that you've been adding are now here on the left. Okay, I'm going to start off by adding my purchase and sale. I'm going to add legal description, lead-based paint, and let me just go ahead and add the rest just so you see how everything goes in. Okay, so now I have all my documents over here on the right to be merged. Okay, you can move them. There's these green lines right here next to each item where you can click and drag them to a different order. That's one place where you can do this. You can reorganize your files in another area, but if you already see your documents here and you want to go ahead and do it, this is where you can do it. So these documents are what are going to be merged. Okay. I'm going to click merge selected items and you'll see them. They're analyzing, they're separating, they're compressing into one document. Now don't get freaked out when the merge document shows, because I can promise you, you can split them and reorganize them just as fast as anything. But looking at this, I have 27 pages here, and it is my merge document for my purchase and sale agreement. Okay? Just as easy as that. Button over here, merge paperwork right here. Okay? I'm going to show real quick how to split documents. I tried to do this twice just so people get comfortable with merging and splitting. It's very helpful. So now I'm going to split them.
Before you split them, a question.
Sure.
If you were going to send this to your client for signatures, that's an awfully big document to send. You think it would go through, or do you need to do it in smaller segments?
It will go through. It's a prompted link. So you wouldn't run into any problem with the sizing either. But you know what, if I wanted to send a proof of this document before signature, you have an option right here that's a green button that says send via email.
Yeah.
Okay. When you click on this option, it says send via email as a PDF.
Okay, but now when they receive that PDF, if there was any form or any blank or anything that needs to be filled in, they can't fill it in, right?
You can. It's just a standard PDF without signature lines. You're right.
So everything's got to be perfect when you are.
Well, and that's the reason, and John, that's the reason why you would send something like this email for proofing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So even in your message, you would say, hey, please proof this, this contract. Make sure it's to what you're liking before I send for signature.
right.
And you can
Gotcha.
tell even this document is only 3.959, so it would send just fine.
Okay,
So that is sending a document. You can send all documents like this in an email form. All right, so now that I have my merged document, I'm going to split the forms just to kind of get everyone used to how it works. Right here, there's a split forms option, the blue button. Now that I have a merged document, I'm going to hit split forms, and you'll see, once again, you will see all the forms that are within this merged document that you want to pull apart. Okay, so I can select, well, heck, I can just select all, just like that, or select one at a time. You can determine where they move to, but most of the time, general paperwork is about what you would expect to do unless you've created a different field. And you would just split your selected forms. There they are. Split, merge. Feel comfortable doing that. It's really not bad. It's also better for peace of mind and organization. And make sure you have everything named the way you'd like it. So I'm going to merge them back together, and I'm going to show you how you can arrange them the way you need to arrange them. Okay? Does everybody feel comfortable with merging and splitting so far? I just want to make sure. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to hit the merge paperwork again, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my, excuse me, I'm going to hit my purchase and sale, my conventional loan. I'm going to go grab every other document. Okay, so now they're over here on my right side to be merged. Merge selected items, 27 pages again. Okay, so another question I normally get is, how do I edit the arrangement? If I have a page that's out of place, if I have a section like the conventional loan needs to be moved to a different spot, how do I do it now that I have a merged document? And that's what you'll have to do up here under Edit Pages. So you're not editing the page, you're editing all the pages. So right here under Edit Pages, you'll get this window. Pretty straightforward, okay? You can change the form order. Change form order. To best explain this, all those items you added are in segments. You have your purchase and sale, which is a segment. You have your conventional loan contingency, which is a segment. See how they're segmented? F404 is a segment. Exhibit 8 is a segment. So you can move the segments by changing the form order. I'm going to click on Change Form Order. And just as easy as you see these, you can click and drag them where you need them to be. Pretty smooth, right? I mean, so it's just getting comfortable where all the items are. That's what this is all about. So yes, you can move any page any way you want. This is, so say you've Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, and then now you need to put them in the correct order with how you placed it in the purchase and sale. This is where you would do this. Pretty awesome. Save changes, the pages go where they need to go. Okay? Each segment, as I said, once again, segment, purchase and sale, you have your conventional loan right here, has its own organization as well, organized pages. When you click on this and you have a page out of order in that segment, you can click and drag it where it needs to be if a page is out of place. Not bad, right? So say you uploaded a PDF, you scanned it in on the scanner and you realized, oh my God, page 16 is supposed to be at page 2. You could easily just move page 16 to page 2 right here. This is where you could do it. So my recommendation is when you bring up your merged document, realize there's a tab called Edit Pages. and realize that you can change the order of the forms or you can organize the pages within the segments. Fair enough? Perfect. I got a few head nods. I think people are starting to understand that AppFiles isn't trying to make your life hard. It's trying to keep you organized. It's all here. So then you have your documentation in here, things move smoothly. All right. So I went ahead and my next thing was already moved ahead because, you know, sending an email is important. Send via email is how you can send per proofing, which is what John and I just went over, hitting the send via email, sending the PDF, saying, hey, Tori, would love it if you would review the contract, make sure everything's in the right place for checkpoint, you know? That's what that does. Yes, John?
A question about the merge and splitting the merge.
Okay.
I think when you did it, you merged all of them together.
I did, yes.
What if you only merge a part of them together? What does the part that you're going to merge, what does that look like on the screen?
So if I merged only a part of them,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna go ahead and split my forms. I'm gonna select them. I'm gonna split my forms up. Okay, so you're saying if I only merged a couple of the documents rather than all of them, right?
Right, yeah.
So I'm gonna go to merge paperwork, and this time I'm only going to grab my purchase and sale, my conventional loan, legal description, and say lead-based paint.
Okay.
Okay, is that what you're asking? Just a few?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
so I'm gonna merge those selected items, and now I only have 16 of 19 pages to work with.
All right.
So, and some staff members prefer the pages not to be merged when you're submitting, which I totally understand that. So just something to think about. So getting comfortable with the split is important.
But if you now close that document,
Okay,
where are the merged documents?
they're right here under the purchase and sale now.
So it's still under just one title in it. There's no place that special says merged documents.
Well, and that's the thing. So now that it's all purchase and sale, you would just come up here to the pencil and you would rename it, say it's an offer.
All right.
Or the address of the home. Like a lot of times when, it depends on the office, but different staff members like the naming to be a certain way, but most offices prefer it to have the address when they're submitting a contract for an offer.
Sure.
So, you know, say that's what I'm doing here. Say I make this 2795 Peachtree Road. And say I put Drew Burr at the end. I mean, whatever your naming convention is going to be.
Okay.
Okay, I click the checkbox, and now my document over here is named 2795 Peachtree Road, you know?
Gotcha.
There's any way you want to do this, especially when you're submitting for a review by your staff members, which is, I think that's the next thing I'm about to cover. Yes, that's exactly what I'm about to cover. Perfect, okay.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
So in our docs, I know it's going away soon, and then they have the other one. But when you do buyer one, buyer two, I always could tell my client, okay, like the husband, you're going to be getting it first, and then once you sign it, it goes to your wife, and then it will come to me.
And that's
so
the difference, yes.
if I'm doing this through here, and you know you're sending it, and you have to redo it again to buyer one and buyer two, but you're sending it kind of like you did one, then you got to do it again. Is that going to be the same type of case? Is that it's going to be like that, or it could go to them right at the same time?
It can go to them at the same time, which is the great thing because you can actually track them separately on who's holding up the situation.
Okay.
You know, because you can say, I can tell Tori, I'm just like, Tori, you've signed your paperwork, everything looks good. Where's John? John needs to make sure he signs his paperwork.
Okay. So it's not going to be like really in order. It really could get to them together.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
right, cool.
It's a beneficial situation. In my opinion, some people think it's not, but I think it is because you don't have to wait in order. They could, one may be home and the other one's not, so it can get done quicker. So yes.
Right, and then the auto populate, like if I fix out all my settings, my stuff would pretty much already be signed. I could do it that way. I'm just waiting for them.
Exactly.
Once it's signed. Okay, got it. Cool.
You got it. All right, so this is the part that's a little different for every office. It's the submission of your documents. Okay, so what I recommend is when you're in AppFiles and say you're doing a test run or you're going through an app file, make sure you check with your staff members and make sure you're submitting it correctly. Once you do it once and they're happy with how, something tells me we're going to have a more flatline way of submission coming up. I've heard Todd discussing it, so just keep an ear out for that. But for right now, each office is a little different, so just make sure your naming conventions is correct when you submit. So in that scenario, I am going to be turning in my buyer brokerage agreement now that it has been signed and everybody's happy. So I'm going to click on this documentation, and this is the easiest one. So say you name it. I'm going to say naming conventions is up to you, but I'm going to name it Torrey Horton Buyer Brokerage. I'm going to click the checkbox. Next, I'm going to be putting it in to Broker Docs. Everybody follow me? This is me turning in my buyer brokerage to my staff members. So when you change it to Broker Docs, you're turning it in. Okay.
Mhm.
Another thing that you can do when you change it to Broker Docs is you can come down here to create an update, and you can let your staff members know Torrey Horton Buyer Brokerage has been signed and submitted. Add your staff member. I'm not going to put Jenny because I might get in trouble for that. So I'll put in Scott, and I'm going to create an update. Okay. So that creates an update that your staff members will see that says, hey, I have submitted my buyer brokerage for Torrey and we are good to go. Communication, of course, is always important in real estate. I know this. Okay, everybody feel good about that?
So we have to choose that every time when you switch that to the brokerage thing or whatever, it doesn't automatically go to our people. We have to pick that, all select who goes. Wow.
Correct.
Well,
Well,
so
you
that's
don't
for every document we have to do
hold that thought process. The only thing you truly have to do is make sure you change the section on the buyer brokerage to Broker Docs. Okay. That's
Okay.
my recommendation is to send an update to your staff members, letting them know that you've submitted. That's all. You don't have to. It just depends. But
Okay. But it would go to them if we didn't do that.
yeah, no, it's not going to hurt anything. You could walk by their office and say, hey, Jan Morris, just want to let you know I've submitted. My buyer brokerage is in. Whatever your system is with your staff, it's totally up to you. But yeah, that's just a recommendation. Totally.
But we have to change it to Broker Docs every time we turn something in. Purchase and sale agreement, buyer brokerage agreement.
For your buyer brokerage agreement. Okay.
Only
if you're turning in your app file as a signed contract, it's different.
okay.
Okay, and I'm going to cover that right now. Good call. So now that I've turned in my buyer brokerage, you got a quick question, John? Sorry.
Yeah. At what point do you change it from Torrey Horton to the address of the property?
Right here. So I'm turning in my contract now. So I'm changing it because I'm turning in my contract. Up here at the very top where it says Torrey Horton and there's an edit, I'm going to click on the edit, and this time I am going to change this to the address of the listing, the 2795 Peachtree Road. If you put in offer, however your naming convention is, okay?
Yeah.
Now that you've worked with your buyer, they have found what listing they're interested in, that they want to put an offer on. Now you're changing it to the name of the actual listing, okay? Next, you're going to change the file type to new pending. Okay, and that is how you submit your contract after everything's been signed. Okay, once again, now when you turn it to new pending and you save your change here at the bottom, it's in your staff's hands. Okay? You have any questions about that? Some offices have different file type inboxes, but the way I was told to teach this is to make sure that everyone has a good feeling about new pending as that option. Just covering that. So that will submit it to your staff. Once again, once you hit save changes, you could come down here and create an update, letting your staff members know. It's an just recommendation, letting your staff member know, saying, hey, I've submitted the contract for 2795 Peachtree Road. All right. Not too bad. Naming conventions, submitting, make sure you have a system. If you want to get some practice in, what I always recommend after my Agent Accelerate class is take your own home and act as if you were selling it, or if you were working with a buyer that's looking at your home, and see what the process of getting the documentation is to get this app file rolling. That's how you get comfortable. It's always practice, 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 practice. In my next class that I teach next week, I go into a little bit more intricate parts. I do go back to merging documents and splitting documents just to remind people about that comfort zone of splitting documents. And then I also focus over here on the buyer's templates, which, you know, once again, it's just more items to import. So do I have any questions whatsoever?
What time is your class next week? I thought it was the same class, so I didn't sign up for it.
Let's see. Get my calendar, my paper calendar. I'll admit it. I am one of those guys. I'm one of the few people in this world that writes in cursive and everything else.
I still do. You're not alone.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
I do too. I do too.
Yeah, I'm old school.
You know how much my mom was big into writing in cursive. It actually helped me get my first job here in Atlanta, was writing in cursive.
Cool.
My fraternity brothers gave me a lot of hard times about it though. Let's see. Yes, AppFiles Beyond. It is Wednesday, the 23rd from 2 to 3:30.
23rd?
It's the 23rd from 2 to 3:30. Yes.
I'll be there.
Awesome. Yeah, it's cool. It's going to be a really neat class. What I do, and I'll show you what it looks like. Over here on my right side, I have what's called a template. And what I'm doing is I'm creating a buyer template that I can make a copy of. And what I'm doing is I get a brand new buyer, I meet with them, that's great. I copy this template, I choose which what they're planning, how they're planning to finance, and I get the ball rolling immediately with the new app file for a buyer.
Oh, so you can make your own like buyer templates, listing templates, condo or house template. Okay.
Yep. Total. And that way you have your, instead of going in there and selecting all of the different forms, those forms will already be in there. You copy, you're naming it, and you're just rolling. And then I show you how to use the, I'll show you the master buyer template. All you have to do is fill in your contact's name, and you import that value on all those pages immediately.
Okay.
Because you just met them, you know their name, their contact information. Why not go ahead and bring it all in?
Yeah.
And your template already has your contact information in the master buyer template because you're the continuous agent. It's your app file. It's really neat. I don't want to go too far into it, but it's a neat way of just getting the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Yep.